Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing Gilih H in a 3-minute pool on ICC. I am back from Arizona, back from the desert. It was a hot one out there, as you might expect. Arizona in the middle of July. It was 110 degrees when I got off the plane. Let's try to play fast in the opening here. I think G3 is in order. He might try to swing the queen over to H5, but I'm not going to concern myself with that plan for now. Just develop quick. Try to prove that this queen is a little oddly placed over here. I'm thinking about A3 or Rook B1. I think I like A3. It could be more constructive if he takes on D4. Okay, he's just going to back his queen up to C7. Let's put the bishop on B2. Yeah, he could play E4, but I think knight D2 is all right there. So now I'm thinking about taking and playing knight D2, or perhaps playing E3. But I think I like the taking plan better. And now let's go here, so anticipating E4. And I'm thinking about C5, knight C4. This is a plan you've probably seen me do before, but I like it a lot. Get the knight here. When black has that weakness on D6, it's so nice to have your knight within striking distance of that square, even though the black bishop is covering it for now. Okay, so black's coordinated, but so am I. Queen A4 maybe, Queen B3. Queen B3 runs into bishop E6. I'm not liking so much. I could play knight here right away, but he takes it. I have to take with my pawn and maybe mess things up a bit. So I'm actually thinking just stepping to C1. It's not the ideal square. C2 would be better, but with the bishop on F5, I think it's fine. Okay, so this weakens this C6 pawn. So I'm thinking knight A5. Knight A5, he can take on C5, though, huh? It's a little trick. Yeah, knight A5, knight takes C5. I can take C6. He plays knight B3. That's a little messier than I'd like. I don't think I have so much of an edge there. Let's just take. C6 could still be a target. Now, how to exploit it? Knight E3, he'll probably just back the bishop up. I could go A4, but I lose my B4 pawn. B5 is intriguing to me. B5, take, knight takes. Nah, I don't see anything there. I'm just going to play Rook D1. Bide my time. Yeah, and so is he. Okay, let's play knight E3. I'm thinking maybe plunk a knight on E4. Okay, here I have knight D5 as a possibility. Or knight B5. Knight B5 even better. Does that not just win a key pawn? Kind of looks like it. Yeah. Queen B8. My queen has some difficulties, though. I know, I can take, and if Rook C8, I have Queen B7. I think that's crucial. So, yeah, let's take this way. I thought for a second Rook C8 would give me issues here, but I do have that Queen B7 outlet. Just got to watch my time now. Okay, Queen C7. Yeah, let's go Queen C7. You know me, looking to trade queens, especially when I'm ahead in material. I'm not going to back down from that, right? All right, so offering a trade. Following the usual advice, just simplify when you're ahead, and also being down in time, it's nice to get those queens off the board. Here I'm threatening knight C7. Let's just bring this over. Knight E5. That looks suspicious. Let's go here. And he's going to play Rook E7, and I'll go knight up to D5. We'll get a trade. He'll probably put this back here. Okay, here I can try to get this bishop. Let's take. Let's get the rook in. Chase him a bit. Let's go here. Let's take that. Okay, so pretty clearly he's playing for the flag at this point. I can't blame him, though, based on my time. Let's go here. Bishop E5 would have been a lot stronger there. Can still do it. Check and pick up the bishop. Now just hustle, John. I'm not going to let him any counterplay. Let's just give him that pawn. Time to pre-move. Oh, I could have taken that guy. But okay, this is alright too. Now we'll just push this pawn. Do the old roller checkmate, because that's typically the easiest mate. Okay, so I'm happy with my speed there at the end. I always have the trap in these videos, these 3-minute videos, and even the 5-minute and the 15-minute, as you know, but the trap of talking way too much, especially at the outset of a session. So I was making a point to just shut my trap and try to convert that position. So what to say about this game? An unusual opening with an early queen a5 from black. I guess there's some sense in the fact that black is preventing me from playing e4. He could just take the pawn, knight takes e4 using the pin on my knight on c3, but as the game played out, I have a hard time believing that the queen sally was useful, sending it to a5, because I just played a3 and b4, kicked it back. That being said, black's position looks reasonable right here. I have a bit more space. That pawn on c5 is helpful. I maybe spent a bit too long trying to figure out how to coordinate here. I was just trying to figure out the best square for my queen. I mean, queen b3 looks obvious to try to connect the rooks, but I really didn't like bishop e6 against that. Black's bishop is a pretty good piece in this position. So queen c1, and I have a feeling black should refrain from playing b5. Let me just check this with the engine. But b5 looked like an error. Yeah, computer says bishop e6 with a small edge to white, but yes, b5, and all of a sudden this c6 pawn is a major concern. Yeah, and in hindsight, I wish I would have played knight e3 right away. I knew there had to be some way to try to exploit this in a direct way, but rook d1 was not the path. Knight e3 immediately. Fortunately, black played a neutral move against rook d1, and then I get this in, and the key thing is the knight coming to b5, using the pin on the c pawn. And after I pick up this pawn, the game is essentially winning. With good moves, white should convert this every time, but easier said than done. I'm sure I missed a few things, especially in time pressure. Yeah, like one thing I definitely missed is, I think I could have pinned his knight somewhere, like bishop e5 right here, although he does have bishop d6 or even rook c1. But, alright, not going to criticize myself too much. Let's get back in there. Not going to play a super long session. I've been looking at a lot of chess lately. You know, I was teaching that camp last week, so I was mostly just working on the instructive angle. But I've been working on my own game too, thinking a lot about my style and my strengths and weaknesses, because I really want to play some tournaments coming up. I hope in the fall. I'm trying to figure out my schedule at the moment, and I'm doing a lot of introspection about my game. And you'll probably see that come up. I'm not going to say too much about it right now, because I can't reveal everything about my play style and my opening selection and things like that, but suffice it to say that certain aspects of my game are evolving, and I know they have to evolve if I want to take it up to that next level. So Danny Wrench was at that camp in Arizona, as was the chess bra, Eric Hansen, the chess bra himself. Well, one of the bras, let's say. So it was great to see them. Let's just play g3. Bishop g2, this is one of the main lines. Don't know too much about this line, but I'll play knight bd2. It seems a bit more combative than bishop d2. Solid system for black. This is the older way of playing it. Put the bishop on b7. Usually it comes to a6. Black's bishop on b4 is no longer that useful. Okay, so he plays d5. I think I'm going to send my knight in and just pin that d5 pawn. Yeah, so he backs it up. That's pretty logical, I think. So how am I going to untangle this position? I'm actually thinking of playing this. This looks a little weird, but it's a hedge against black going c5 and maybe undermining my defense of the knight. Okay, how about taking now? I bet he'll take with the pawn, and my knight is a little unusually placed on d3, but it could be helpful. It doesn't block my bishop like it would if it were on f3, and it helps me observe the c5 square even. So I think my position's slightly preferable. Don't really mind if he plays c5. In fact, I kind of want to encourage him, but let's just play this. And he does. Let's take... I bet he takes with the knight. Just a gut feeling. Nope, takes to the pawn. Okay, so now he's got these hanging pawns, these so-called hanging pawns. I'd like to put pressure on c5 and d5. But how to start? I'm thinking rook e1. Or even e3. Let's play e3. Maybe knight f4 is in the future. Point is, I just don't want to have to deal with the weakness here. Maybe I'm overlooking bishop a6, like the strength of this move. Okay, I'm glad he didn't play that, because bishop a6 was looking pretty nasty there. I can still play knight f4 if I want. That solves that issue. Yeah, let's do it. If he takes, I think I'll take with the g-pawn, in fact. Try to take towards the center. I'm not that worried about my king. Okay, this, I think, just loses a piece. Knight c4. And his queen is going to be overloaded. I'll take b7. Oh, no, he can take c4. Take f4, rather. But then I take c8. I'm going to be winning some material here. I didn't think much about knight c4, because clearly I should use this move order. Okay, I also have knight takes d6. Knight takes d6, bishop takes g2, knight takes e8. Yeah, that's a cleaner way to win a piece, I think. As opposed to take here, which is also quite good, but let's just do it this way. Because after he takes here, I get this in-between move with an attack on his queen, so he really has to respond to that. Now let's just take... Yeah, let's take with the knight, keep e3 defended. Schraubendreher. Terrible pronunciation. I'm certain of it, but what can you do? Okay, let's take this guy. Really not much danger here, but you always have to keep your guard up in chess. Chess is a lot like boxing. Number one rule, protect yourself at all times. Okay, so g7 is tender. I like the look of queen g4. Just making sure he doesn't have some sort of trick, like with knight d2, catch me unawares, but I think queen g4. Queen f3 also is pretty strong. Let's go queen g4, because I think that's going to require him to weaken his position somehow. If g6, I might pull the queen back to f3 and pin his knight, or just play rook e1. If he plays knight f6, I can trade if I want. Let's actually go here first, though. The pin is useful. Because now he'll probably move his queen, and then I can take on f6 or rook e1. Yeah, he's hitting my bishop, so let's just trade. It's kind of cute, but shouldn't be very good. Let's just go here. If he takes here, I can take on g7. Okay, he's going to let me pin him. If rook e2, probably just knight f4. Can take on f2 is kind of nifty, but I think I just take knight e4 check, move the king. He'll be down at least a rook at the very end. Just take this guy, just looking at back rank stuff. Yeah, and he resigned. Okay. So not difficult after he lost the piece. It seems he just completely overlooked knight c4, this knight jumping into the outpost square after he lost control over it. This is the critical phase of the game right here, when I took on c5. Really not sure what the best move is, because I think e3 is inaccurate. I don't think I played the best move in view of bishop a6. Maybe I should start with rook e1. I could play knight f4 immediately, but somehow it seems I should wait on that move. Let me just turn on the engine. Yeah, engine likes rook e1. It was giving e3 for a split second. Maybe bishop a6 isn't terrible for me. Bishop a6, queen c2, but I didn't want to have to put my queen on the same file as the rook on c8. That's an alignment issue you should always be looking for. So to me, the line bishop a6, queen c2, and then maybe c4 seems slightly dicey for white, although the computer doesn't think it's any problem. Queen b6, knight f4. You know, these hanging pawn situations, and again, that's referring to the structure black has here, pawns on c5, d5. These are tricky to handle for both sides. I would say even more so for the side with the hanging pawns, because you have an inferior structure, you have two pawns that are essentially relying on each other and the dynamic potential in pushing one of them in order to compensate for the fact that they tend to be sitting ducks in the middle. So they're relying on that plus the center control to compensate for that, and I've always felt it's easier to play against those pawns. And I feel the same way about isolated pawns too. You know, some people like IQP, isolated queen's pawn middle games, but I've always shied away from those. If you know how to handle them properly as the side with those weaknesses or strengths, depending upon how you look at it, it's fine, but it requires some delicate handling. Because, yeah, this one move just throws it all away. D4 is typically a move you like to get in with the IQP. There's some famous examples, like there's that game, who is it, Samish versus Tarash, which features a double bishop sacrifice where d5 is opening the lines and allows black to play bishop takes h2 check, followed quickly by bishop takes g2. It's a nice game. I'll link it in the comments below. But yeah, black has to time that, or the side with the isolated, the hanging pawns has to time it. So here black should just wait, or maybe take on f4 like I was saying. Yeah, d4 here, and this was just a move order problem. Yeah, bishop takes b7. I think either move works, to be honest. I don't know why I thought bishop takes b7 was a little tougher, because after bishop takes b7, the engine says rook b8 is the best move. I was thinking bishop takes b7, bishop takes f4, bishop takes c8, and then maybe, I don't know, black taking on e3 or something is a little murky, but in hindsight, it's absolutely nothing. You can see both are giving white, you know, +5 advantages or more. Okay, next game. As I was mentioning, bishop b7 is the older handling of this position. In the past couple decades, black has experimented more with bishop a6, attacking the pawn on c4 in this g3 line, which is one of the principal tries against the Queen's Indian. So trying to fianchetto your bishop right into black's bishop. Instead of bishop b4 check, black can play bishop e7, and then after mutual castling, there's a bunch of theory from there. Black often sticks a knight on e4. Didn't really know too much about this resulting position. And even though black's bishop out on b4 is, as I was saying in the game, like not particularly useful, there is something to be said for having enticed my knight to d2 as opposed to the more traditionally strong square c3. Okay, Damian 04. A familiar opponent. Let's play d6, move 2. See if he goes for this e5 line. He doesn't, but I've seen that played a bunch lately. Okay, I like queen b6 here. Not getting into the main lines of the Velimirovich attack. Okay, let's play for b5. I don't want to play bishop e7. I'm just figuring out what I'm going to do if he plays f5, but I think it's fine. Yeah, maybe I should have played b4 on the previous move, but alright, this is okay. Tempted to play h5 here. Rook f2 is a little odd looking. Nah, let's just castle. Now he's going to try to attack me. Okay. If d5, he's probably going to play e5. Let's play knight d7. He's going to throw the pawns down the board, but a lot of times on the black side of a Sicilian, when white's attacking you like that with their pawns, you can duck and dive and gain counterplay, gain good counterplay. I'm just going to bring the rook over. Rook f2 is kind of odd, right? Okay, let's kick that queen. If queen h6, I think I'm just going to play here, and then try to play bishop f8 after this. This is where he really could have used the rook on f3 to play rook h3. but the timing doesn't work so well for him. And if ever he plays f5, I'm going to get a knight on e5, is the point, which I may do immediately on this move. Now, which knight to put there? That's the question. I think I like this knight a little bit better. Threatening knight g4. Maybe opening the c file. Okay, I see some tactical issues with that. Let's start with bishop f8. I guess he's going to go to h3. But I was thinking he didn't really want to weaken the diagonal like this, but maybe he will. Okay, we'll take first. Is he going to go like rook h4? That seems almost like a Hail Mary. But if he takes here, this diagonal is opened up. That's looking quite risky for him, with queen c6 and such hanging over his head. If rook h4, I'm not completely sure what I'm going to do, but I'm not too scared. Okay, so here, and I almost think there's some sort of direct refutation. Queen c6, he'll play bishop here, so I'm thinking take on d3. Yeah, let's just take first. He's got to take back with his pawn, I believe. Don't think he can profit from like throwing in that move. Now I was thinking just knight e5. It's queen c6 awfully tempting, but maybe he just plays king f2 against that. Yeah, let's play knight e5. We'll keep queen c6 in reserve. He might play knight e4. Guess I can stick the bishop on g7 if I want. This is getting sharp. Queen d7. If I take, he's going to take on g6, though, is the thing I'm currently calculating. I just don't really have time to look at that. I got to play something. Trying to get his queen out of the way. Okay, let's go here. Not sure about my last few moves. They might just be straight up bad. Okay, I'm going to take this guy. Try to attack. Let's go here. Look for bishop takes f5. I'm expecting him to take. He's going to take there, okay. Well, that I definitely wasn't anticipating, but this is just straight up good for me. It's going to be a time scramble. Trying to go after that. Okay, he can be kind of annoying. Trying to break up his pawns here. Got to run out. Ooh, he got mated. Okay, pulled off the bishop e2 checkmate. He walked right into it, but I think he was trying to close in with his king so he could get like rook d8, rook f8, rook takes f7 in. Wild game, back and forth Sicilian encounter. So when you play this Scheveningen system, I didn't get into this exactly from the Scheveningen or Scheveningen move order, but when you have the pawns on e6, d6 in the Sicilian, you sometimes have to weather a kingside attack when white throws their pawns at you like this, even though white is castled short. Like, that doesn't dissuade white from throwing these pawns down the board, oftentimes. So one of your strategies should be, if white's pawn goes to f5, trying to open up your king by initiating pawn exchanges, try to plunk a knight on e5. because that's the hole, that's the weakness that they've given up. And your knight is so tremendously useful there. It guards f7, it stabilizes g6. You can see knight g4 was a threat. The game got sharp here. I'm positive I'm better in this position, or if not this position, definitely one of the ones coming up. Because white seems overextended to me. I just couldn't figure out the details. So let's take a look like here, starting with rook f4. Yeah, it's a lot better for black. It's almost -2. So, this one... Sorry I have to do this, but I have to go back to the beginning and do this in, analysis mode. So, yeah, rook f4, take. He can't play here because of knight f3 check. So he's not in time to get this in, because I always have this. Okay, that's important. I think I might have missed that detail or underestimated it. So take... Yeah, let's say he takes... And now bishop takes g5. Wow. How is this going to work? So if queen takes, am I just going to play knight takes d3 and then go after the bishop here? I'm guessing that's how it's going to work. Yeah, take, and take. And black's up a pawn. This alignment has me a little worried, but I don't see anything damaging. Any square for that rook to go to that's gonna hurt me too much. That's not completely clear yet, but... Yeah, bishop h8 might be a mistake, as weird as that seems, because rook f4 is an empty threat. Most likely what white has to do next is play rook af1. So if I play something neutral, even though I wouldn't play something neutral, but just for the sake of argument, white's going to play rook af1 and prepare rook h4, guard the f3 square. Still, though, bishop f8 looks so natural. For some reason, I was just thinking his queen was going to come to h4. I don't know why I didn't consider the queen coming to h3 too seriously. Okay, now takes. So even though I have to mess up my structure slightly, the diagonal that I gained, this open diagonal, is compensating for that fact. Yeah, and this is a little shakier. I'm not sure I played the best moves here. In fact, I'm positive I didn't. Taking on d3, because now white's queen is always defending the bishop, unlike in that other line. Now, I wanted to go directly for queen c6, but I wasn't seeing a whole lot if white just plays knight e4. Yeah, it's a top move of the computer. And then all of a sudden I have to contend with that. It's just a checkmate and 2 threat. So I tried to pin white's h-pawn, and from here it got extremely messy. This is a decent try, I think, in time pressure. Rook takes c3, because in a number of lines, knight e4 was an annoying motif to block my queen c6 stuff. So just getting rid of white's knight. Computer says I can do this and allow this to happen. And then just play this move. That looks a little scary, allowing the rook into the heart of my king side. So, okay, takes to the pawn. Black seems to have some compensation here. This might be a largely empty threat, though. If we're doing a totally objective analysis. Even if I get in queen h1 check, king f2, what is my follow-up? Because my knight would like to join the party, come to g4, take on d3, but white's queen guards both of those squares. So rook e4, and okay, bishop c8 was pretty good. And then take on f5, and here's where the tide really turned. Yeah, and I should just be winning this resulting endgame. Up a couple pawns, but it's a little annoying. Yeah, I probably missed some opportunities like bishop d5. But hey, it's a time scramble. Glad to get that checkmate. Okay, let's play 1 or 2 more games. What I like about the Sicilian is there are so many lines where it's not completely clear like what the best move is, even right out of the opening. Just leads to tangled, dynamic, back and forth play. You could see even like right here after rook f2. I was contemplating going in 2 entirely different directions. Castles kingside as I did in the game, and even h5. h5 is a thematic move in those positions. Maybe my con experience was telling me to play that move, because that is a move you can do in the con. I played a couple games like this, OTB, but h5 propping up knight g4 with the attack here and here. I wasn't sure though white can play, h3, or the computer's saying bishop e2, but let's say h3. Sometimes black can claim that the g3 square is a weakness, but it looks speculative in this position. And I think I need some practice in positions like I got in the game where you're just defending against the pawn storm from white. So this seemed all right too. Maybe rook c8 isn't so necessary. I was thinking of knight c5 as well, but I wanted to wait and see and maybe send that knight to the e5 square. As long as I have time, let me just click through these next moves. You know, this is a operation to know if you're ever playing the black side of a Sicilian, especially with this pawn structure. Famous Karpov versus Kasparov game from the final game of their second match. Not the first aborted match, but the second match, which made Kasparov the world champion. In the decisive game where Karpov needed to play for a win, only a win with the white pieces would do, they played into a similar situation, although not with as direct of an attack. Okay, we're playing the same guy. We'll see if we get the same Sicilian. But anyways, Kasparov played this rook e7, rook fe8, and rook e7 idea. So putting your rook on the e file is totally possible. Okay, I'm happy with the position I got. I might play it a little bit different. We'll see. You know, why don't I try for b5 this time? Because I played bishop e7 last time, and he was able to stop me from playing this. So maybe I should just try it this way this time around. Yeah, let's go bishop here. Okay, so if he plays rook f2, we've actually transposed. All right, I'm going to play it the same way. This is funny. This hardly ever happens in the 5-minute pool or the 3-minute pool. Should I play the computer move? Yeah, why not? Knight c5. I mean, I was thinking of it last time. We did our little 10 seconds of prep right before the game. We'll take it in a different direction. Okay, and he goes e5. That is interesting. First thought is knight d4, but I think he wants to plunk something on this e4 square. So I could start with like rook d8. Which rook? I'm not sure. Probably the f rook. Yeah, let's start with rook f d8. Don't think bishop takes h7 bothers me. If queen h6, I can play g6. And I've got that f8 square for the bishop to come to. On knight e4, I have c4, so that's my threat. Wow, he's going to go for this. Interesting. Does that work? What is your follow-up? Rook f3? But I thought I can just play g6 here. No, this can't work. No way. Yeah, g6. Because again, if queen h6, this bishop f8 move always comes in. Like, if I can do this, I just win. I got to watch out for knight e4, though. Let's bear that in mind. Knight e4 could always rain on my parade. I think he has to go to h4 with the queen. I don't think any other move is challenging. But the problem is on queen h4, knight d4 is just outright winning, I believe. He's going to go there. Okay. So queen h6. Sorry, bishop f8. There's no craziness with knight here, right? That would be cool, but nah, could that work? Wow. I don't know. We're gonna try to do this. No, okay. I'm thinking like knight e4, bishop takes h6, knight f6 check, king f8, bishop takes c5, but I always have knight e7. It's weird what your brain comes up with. So here I think I should definitely play knight d4. Yeah. Opens the bishop. If rook h3, I have knight f3 check, which will win the exchange. It's crucial I can keep control over e4. So I think knight e4 to f6 is about the only thing that's going to hurt me here. Okay, check right away. Yeah, let's do it. No reason to delay. We'll probably play rook f1, yep. Drop this guy back. And we're just up a rook. Kind of tempted to play rook d4. Yeah, let's try it. Interesting exchange sacrifice offering. It's not necessary at all, but I want to double up my rooks, and yeah, I have a feeling he's just not going to take it. So now I think I can try to force him to take it in view of rook g2. It's kind of weird, like the bishops are almost as strong as the rooks in this position, strangely enough. Okay, let's just take that. We're both a little down on time, though, so bear that in mind. Check. Let's trade the queens. It's easiest. I'll run the h-pawn next. We'll let him have his b-pawn for now. Just so there's no chance of stalemate whatsoever. The game was essentially over when I was able to defend against the attack, so it seems like bishop takes h7 was just not sound there for white. It's a nice idea, but again, you can see the drawback of the rook on f2. I wonder why he's putting the rook on f2 in this line. Is it some sort of prelude to like a rook d2 plan? I guess I don't have enough knowledge of these positions or the white side of this situation to know why rook f2 seems so obvious to him, because he played it quick on both occasions and he stuck to it on the second time around. But white's attack was one tempo too slow. Famous saying that chess is the tragedy of one tempo, and you can see that in positions, like this, right here. Because if he could play rook h3 in one move, I would be losing with queen h8 coming, but he can't. Yeah, this is -6 in black's favor. On rook d8, I think I was expecting like queen e1, something like that, but with knight d4 on the way, I like my position. Black has a better pawn structure here. Again, white's in danger of being overextended. If white's attack doesn't work out, their king is just open in the long run. Also, my c5, b5, a6 pawns make a nice impression. I'm just going to check this sequence of moves here. Okay, yeah, I could have played more accurate. Knight takes e5. I don't know why I was intent on getting my knight to d4 rather than setting up... Yeah, knight takes e5 works just as well, if not better, because I win a pawn. Maybe I got a little fancy with rook d4. On queen c6, again, I thought it was perhaps an empty threat. Queen h1, king f2, but that move also looks very good. It just struck me that, if he takes on d4, I take with my c-pawn, and then I get queen takes c2 in after the knight moves, and that's got to be just annihilating white. So I was hanging the rook over his head and even making him take it here because it seemed like a good way to create some threats and maybe even simplify the position. Yeah, and he's just straight down a piece the whole way. Okay, so that was an interesting couple of thematic games against this player. Let's play one last game. It's nice to be able to use an improvement. And I was trusting the computer's very quick evaluation here with knight c5, but I think I agree since last time I played rook c8, and I'm not sure that rook c8 is all that necessary. It's a move on the queen side when most of the action is taking place in the center and on the king side. So yeah, knight c5 does look more direct. Apply pressure to All three of those squares, b3, d3, e4. I think white should avoid taking the knight, in fact. If white played f5 here, I think I would probably play rook e8. What would I do against f5? I could take on f5, but that allows knight d5. Let's look at that. Certainly a question I should be asking myself. What if white just goes all in here? Yeah, take. This allows knight d5, but that might not even be that big of a deal. Just pull the queen back, and this knight's going to come to e5 soon. So f5, take. If he takes, probably knight e5. Yep, knight e5. So you can see that this knight makes its way here and opens up all the queen c6 business. f6, yeah, here. Now that is a real threat. Yeah, black's doing well. Okay. As played, I think strategically this is risky for white, because again, if they don't checkmate me or get some sort of strong attack, I like the look of black's position. It's very compact, and you know, let's say queen e1, I think I can play like knight here right away. Probably shouldn't play g6 because of knight e4. So yeah, knight d4 looks pretty good. Control the e4 square. If take, rook takes, I get pressure here. I'm ready to double. I'm liking it. Okay, machine gun. This guy's super fast. So let's keep up the tempo against him. Play this exchange variation. This is international master Alfonso Almeida. True to his username, always. Just hammers out those moves, which is a pretty ideal strategy in 3-minute chess. I'm going to go here. I don't want to run into bishop takes h2. So let's just play it like this. Maybe bishop here. Can I win a pawn? Take on f6, he takes, I take on d5. I think that works. You might have to take with a pawn. Let's take here now. Just looking, spending a couple seconds. I don't see what he's going to do, so that's suddenly an undefended bishop on c7. Get ready to take him. Okay, now he's got to find counterplay in some form, but it will not be easy. I think just take this guy. I think I just want to occupy this file, so I'm going to do that. Yeah, he plays a passive move. Let's do this, because on a trade I get nice pressure on d5. He's got that static weakness. Bring this over. If knight e6, I think queen f3 is looking good. d5 is almost impossible to defend. Maybe he can play rook d8. Okay, yeah, he's creating a couple minor issues here. Okay, this move is excessively passive, but I think it's all right. I wasn't sure about taking on d5. That looked less clear when he takes on b2, and if I played b3, he could play his rook to c8, and I was pinned. So here I keep the extra pawn, plus this weakness is always going to be there. And I have a feeling he doesn't like to play passive, so this seems good. Let's go here. He's going to throw everything at us, like g5 is coming. No, that move, okay. Oh, let's just take it. King f1, just defend the knight. Go after this pawn. I want to go knight c3 and eventually get my knight to e5. But for now, I'll just wait. Rook e5 could be coming next. Yeah, attack d5. That's going to be hard for him to deal with. Let's take. Check. And rook up. This pawn is a goner. I guess he has knight f5. a little annoying. Okay, let's take. I think I'll just start pushing on this side of the board. I've got an advantage over there. Knight check threat. Bring my king over. Okay. Well, I'm definitely making a mess of this. Still very close to winning, if not just outright winning, but yeah, I'm playing this poorly. Okay, let's just do that. Here, I think I can do this. Totally didn't have to allow this. Now if he plays a2, I can check and just win. Yeah, this is just losing for him. All right, get the checkmate. Slightly sloppy technique there. Well, definitely sloppy technique. Where did I misplay this? Because by all rights, I had him crushed up 2 pawns, and yeah, in hindsight, just rook e5 here, probably. Rook e5, rook takes e5, d takes e5, king e6. Okay, I don't win the pawn yet. Maybe I need a prophylactic move right here. Maybe I should just play g4 at this juncture. Keep the knight off of f5. Knight f5 is his only active move next. So yeah, g4 looks like a wise investment of a tempo. Let's just check this position. King g2. King g2, knight f5, rook e6 is what the computer wants, but I think g4. Now that I look at it. Because on g7, the knight is not particularly useful if it can't come to e6. Maybe he could play g4, let's say h takes g, rook d6, with knight e6 in mind, but it's still rook e5. Because the position I got in the game, you know, this must be completely winning, but somehow I wasn't able to advance my kingside pawns. They are doubled up, and when he played knight e2, I played f5, and now I have a passed pawn, 2 passed pawns, but they're on the same file. Not so sure this is winning anymore. Yeah, especially after a4. The engine wants to check first, with the point being that if the king closes in, like king d6, I have knight b7 check. Is that winning, though? Basically, it wants to go knight c5 followed by a4, but knight c5, king d6, I'm not so sure about. The opening was instructive, though. That's a good tactic to remember. Sometimes you can get in a knight takes d5 shot in the QGD. So in this position after bishop takes f6, it looks awful, but I think he has to play g takes f6, and white's better with the structural advantage, but black fights on. And what about this decision right here, too? Because queen e2 felt wrong. I mean, it feels like I should just win this pawn, but I was seeing difficulties if, you know, I could take on d5, but he'll take on b2. I could play b3, but then rook c8 is something I didn't like the look of, hitting the knight when c1 is an issue. Computer says the best move is rook b1. That was not in my candidate moves for some reason. Because it looks odd and passive, but yeah. Rook b1 should be considered. I think that just straight wins the d5 pawn. Still, though, for a 3-minute game, this is, I think, an okay solution. This guy's so tricky, though. You can see that he created counterplay in a position where he was dead to rights. Yeah, I think just allowing that knight endgame and all the activity he got with the knight was not so smart. I think somewhere right around here I should be able to lay the hammer down in a cleaner way. I like that g4 move. Okay, so I think I played 5 games in this session. Yeah, I won all 5. Granted, they were all against lower-rated players, like 2,000 to 2,100s, but there's some interesting chess there, and I kept up my speed for the most part. There were never any super-duper close calls. Although the last game I did made him with only 3.6 seconds. All right, hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'm home now for like 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks. So I'll be posting a bit more. And thanks for watching, as always. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.